Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight I will be giving a speech about the death penalty. There is much controversy on whether or not the death penalty is ethical or immoral. Is it right for us as a society to judge someone to be deserving of death? Or should this decision be not up to us? Each case is different and must be investigated and studied individually as well. David Garland, a sociologist in favor of abolition, writes, referring to an instance when two men, one in Canada and one in New York, were wrongfully sentenced to death. Capital punishment has now been outlawed in 19 states. In places where it remains legal, jurors are increasingly reluctant to impose it. Only 30 people were sentenced to death in the past year, compared to the over 300 people per year on average in the mid-1990s. Is this because more people are against the death penalty now? No. According to Brandon Garrett, professor of law at the University of Virginia, it's because they are hearing a more detailed background of the murderer's childhood or mental health issues from experts. However, death sentences have fallen much faster than murders. A more sensitive story now that some of you may have heard: Kyle Parker from Indiana will be spending the next 60 years in prison after kidnapping, raping, and murdering a 1-year-old girl. Parker was seen leaving the victim's home, carrying the child, and later confessed to murdering her after sexually assaulting her, writes Chris Harris from People magazine. Officials say that with good behavior, Parker could be released in as little as 45 years. Officials continue by saying he will not need to register as a sex offender, though he admittedly confessed to sexually assaulting the child before murdering her. The mother stated, "When I heard of what he did to my precious girl, I wanted to die too." According to Indianapolis Star, another man out of Sumter County, Florida, killed his infant daughter because his wife was divorcing him. Jeremy Main called his wife, who was at work, and confessed to killing their 18-month-old daughter. According to Frank Stanfeld of Ocala Banner, when deputies arrived at the residence, they found the child face down in a bathtub with blood and a cord wrapped around her neck. In this case, Maine could face the death penalty because the victim was so vulnerable. Are these murders comparable? Should one man get the death sentence and be put on death row, and the other released in 45 years on good behavior? No. Aaron Taylor, writer on Ethica Politica, describes a debate between religious churches on the topic. Professor Robert George issues a plea for mercy. We must stay focused on saving our babies, not killing their killers. John Smirnak argues that sparing murderers the death penalty is an injustice and profound disrespect to the victims. It is necessary to enforce the death penalty. Each case must be adequately investigated and studied, and if necessary, delivered the death penalty. There must be justice, and we must fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. For those of you who are still uncertain, I ask you this question: what if it were your son or daughter, your brother or your sister, your niece or your nephew who was killed in such a horrible way? Would you still want mercy? Would you still want to spare the murderer who killed your loved one? Thank you.